Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So today we're aiming to give you, well, a shortcut really to understanding this fascinating intersection of subjects.
Yeah, quite a mix.
We've got rigorous scientific history, specifically 1980s NASA, mixed with this really high-stakes emotional story about secrets, and then how a major author weaves it all together.
Right. We're looking at the sources around Taylor Jenkins Reid's new novel, Atmosphere. TJR, as they call her.
Exactly. And the sources are interesting in themselves, aren't they?
They really are. I mean, you have the expected stuff like a detailed book review, a synopsis.
Sure, the basics.
But then we also have this exclusive look into her research process. And it wasn't just a quick search. It was years of work.
Years. Wow.
Yeah. So it allows us to look not just at the story itself, but, how building that factual foundation actually elevates the whole emotional narrative.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The sources really seem to be saying this isn't just a space story. It's about what keeps us tethered here on Earth, right? That gravity.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
We're dropped right into the 1980s. Big hair, big ambitions.
Definitely the 80s vibe.
And this, quiet revolution of women trying to break into NASA.
A place where the sources make really clear being different, especially being queer, could literally cost you everything, your whole career.
So the stakes are incredibly high from page 1.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's the core of our deep dive, I think, how TJR uses that specific, very precarious historical setting to amplify the personal drama. It makes even the internal struggles feel, well, huge.
So to get a handle on the main character, Joan Goodwin, we really need to picture 1980s Houston, specifically the Johnson Space Center.
Yeah, you have to understand the atmosphere there. It wasn't just a workplace.
It was a cultural thing. The sources say the country was, quote, still catching up to the idea of women belonging there.
Right, in the pilot seat or even in mission control. It sounds basic now, but it wasn't then.
That resistance really underscores how tough these women had to be.
Exactly. And Joan Goodwin kind of embodies that quiet defiance. She starts off, as this thoughtful, maybe a bit reserved physics and astronomy professor at Rice University.
Comfortable academic life.
Totally. Until the summer of 1980 when she sees that ad, the one looking for the first women scientists for the shuttle program.
And she answers it, which, talk about a turning point, trading that academic safety net for constant, maybe even lethal risk.
And the narrative, according to the sources, keeps reminding you of the real history unfolding around them.
Yeah, they mention these subtle moving nods to Sally Ride.
Right, the first American woman in space.
Yeah.
It just highlights how recent, how fragile that progress felt.
And then there's the shadow, the Challenger disaster looming.
Even though it happens later in the decade, the sources say you feel that anticipation, that potential for tragedy hanging over everything.
So the historical context isn't just backdrop.
Not at all.
Yep.
It actively heightens the personal stakes for Joan. Think about it. Immense societal pressure, real physical danger.
And her secret life on top of all that.
Exactly. If she messes up professionally, or if her secret gets out, it's not just losing a job. It could be a national scandal. It connects her ambition directly to this terrifying vulnerability.
Makes every success feel kind of fragile, too, I imagine.
That's the core tension, I think.
Yeah.
This blend of ambition, needing to prove herself, with the absolute vulnerability of trying to live authentically when, the world is basically looking for reasons to disqualify you.
But she's not alone in this pressure cooker. She's part of this group selected from thousands.
Right, this cohort of candidates training together at Johnson Space Center.
Yeah.
And they become this sort of unlikely group of friends.
And it sounds like a real mix of people.
Oh, yeah. The sources paint a picture of this fascinating ensemble. You've got your more, let's say, traditional astronaut types, like Hank Redmond, the Top Gun pilot.
Okay.
And John Griffin, a scientist described as kind, easygoing. They represent the established world, maybe.
The old guard, in a way. Sort of. And then you have the women who are shaking things up. Lydia Dane's a mission specialist. The review says she's worked too hard to play nice. You can just feel the friction there.
Definitely.
And Donna Fitzgerald, who's described as warm-hearted, but she's navigating her own secrets, too. But the real magnetic figure seems to be Vanessa Ford. Aeronautical engineer, mysterious, brilliant, can apparently fix anything and fly anything.
So putting all them together, the professor, the pilot, the engineer, in that high-stress environment.
Instant drama, right? You've got professional competition, cultural clashes, personal secrets, all bubbling under the surface.
Reviewers call it fiercely feminist, just by its nature, what they had to overcome.
Makes sense.
But the sources are also very specific, saying the core is a queer love story, not a romance. What do you think they mean by that distinction?
Well, based on the reviews, it seems the focus is less on the meet cute or the relationship milestones.
And more on the deeper themes of identity, the sacrifices involved, that constant ache of having to hide such a fundamental part of yourself, which are really the components of a profound love story.
Okay, so it's about the weight of it all, the emotional costs.
Exactly. That seems to be TJR's sweet spot, exploring that internal struggle, that cost of secrecy.
That weight must be immense. But the reviews also mention a specific moment, a turning point where everything changes. December 1984, mission STS-LR9.
Yes. STS-LR9. That designation itself tells you something.
How so?
Well, STS stands for Space Transportation System. That's the official NASA name for the whole shuttle program. So giving it a specific, technical-sounding mission number like LR9.
It grounds it, makes it feel real, even if the mission itself is fictionalized.
Precisely. It shows the author isn't shying away from the technical details. And this specific mission, STS-LR9 in December '84, is flagged as the point where the story just pivots instantly.
That's where the technical reality crashes into the emotional crisis, maybe.
Seems like it. The reviewers use that phrase, you mentioned it earlier, about the story being about space but also about gravity, the kind that pulls you home or holds you back.
And this mission is where that gravity really exerts its force. The external pressures, the internal secrets, they hit a critical point.
Yeah, it sounds like a moment of truth forged in crisis, which, brings us back to how she could even write this convincingly.
The research, looking at the source that details her process, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Right. Not just did some reading.
No. They say she needed years of research just to figure out a basic, viable plot. That's serious commitment.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it gives you, as a reader, a lot of confidence that the world feels authentic. The drama isn't just floating in space, pardon the pun.
Right. And it wasn't just reading either. She went there.
Yeah, the sources detail specific steps. She toured the Johnson Space Center in Houston. And not just the public museum part.
She saw the actual Apollo-era mission control.
Yes. Trying to soak up the real atmosphere, the feeling of the place.
And she got into the nitty-gritty technical stuff, too.
Totally. Not just press releases. She was digging through archival documents online. The example given is finding out exactly how the payload bay doors work on the shuttle.
Why that level of detail? A story about relationships needs payload bay door specs.
Well, think about it analytically. If those doors are complex, maybe finicky, maybe there were known issues, that creates instant mechanical risk.
Okay, so the technical accuracy becomes a source of tension itself.
Exactly. It turns the setting, the machine, into almost another character, another source of pressure on the astronauts. It's not just background, it's an active force.
And she talked to people, too, real NASA people.
She did. Reached out to former personnel, specifically Paul Dye, former flight director. The source says he helped her pull it all together, make sense of the procedures, the culture.
But it wasn't just about the mechanics or the procedures, was it? She was looking for something else.
Yeah, she was looking for the humanity in it all. The sources say she wanted to find those moments of humanity in exceptional people. The research actually shifted how she saw these astronaut heroes.
Which leads us to my absolute favorite anecdote from the research source.
Oh, I know which one you mean. The sandwich.
The sandwich. It's amazing. Astronaut John Young, Gemini 3 mission.
Smuggles a corned beef sandwich on board. In his spacesuit.
Because he was sick of the space food, and the crumbs floating around were such a big deal, such a breach of protocol.
That it actually ended up being discussed before a congressional committee.
It's perfect, isn't it? It just grounds these legendary figures.
Completely. It reminds you that these incredibly brave, accomplished people are still, well, people. People who might get sick of dehydrated food.
That little act of defiance, smuggling a sandwich, it makes their heroism somehow more relatable.
And it gives the author, TJR, license to explore the other, much bigger, more complex acts of defiance or humanity her characters might engage in, like hiding a secret love.
Takes them off the pedestal, puts them right into the messy human story.
Right. And what's really interesting is how that deep dive into research seemed to affect the author personally, too.
Yeah. How so?
The source mentions that the whole process gave her this profound sense of awe for the night sky, like seeing Orion's belt and really feeling it. And that personal connection, that visceral feeling, it makes the book feel more real because she then gives that same awe, that same scientific wonder to her protagonist, Joan. It fuels Joan's motivation, makes her sacrifices understandable.
So it all connects: the research, the history, the character, even the author's own experience.
It seems like a really tightly woven narrative.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together for you, the listener. The big takeaways from the sources seem pretty clear.
Yeah. First, Atmosphere is fundamentally a human story. Deeply human.
Set against this incredibly well-researched backdrop of the 1980s space shuttle program.
And it zeroes in on the intense weight of secrets, the cost of ambition, particularly for women breaking into a field dominated by men at that time.
It's really a reminder, isn't it, that behind these big moments of scientific progress,
There are individuals, so often women, pushing boundaries while carrying enormous personal burdens, fighting the world, and sometimes fighting for their own identities simultaneously.
and the reviewers seem to agree on the quality. The consensus is overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, words like thought-provoking, emotionally rich, impossible to put down. Sounds like it lives up to the hype must-read, book of the summer type stuff.
It promises that blend the thrill of space exploration and the maybe more challenging reality of navigating life back on Earth.
And that central conflict really sticks with you. Reaching for the stars, literally and metaphorically.
Ambition, science.
Right. Versus the gravity pulling you back.
Yeah.
Societal expectations, secrets, fear.
Which brings us to that final provocative thought, the one that really defines Joan's journey, doesn't it?
It does. It's a question for you to think about. When you're carrying a secret like that, hiding who you truly are, is that psychological weight, that burden, actually heavier than the physical force of Earth's gravity?
That's a powerful question to leave us with, something to really mull over. Maybe the only way to know is to experience the story yourself.
Worth considering.
Okay, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.